Welcome to Cronunanog 2020. This is the start of the summer arts programme for Cork County Libraries and Arts Service. In this video we'll be exploring den building decor, looking at tips and ideas of how to decorate our indoor and outdoor den spaces. Check out my other video, Den Building, to find ways of making indoor and outdoor den spaces. So we're going to make our rag ball, and this is what we use to decorate our teepee. It's just literally strips of material cut and then knotted together. I think what we'll do is we'll cut ourselves a nice green strip of material. Now we want to cut as long as possible. Let's see. So we put our cut like this, and then we can do this with somebody, or we can do this on our own. We can ask someone to hold this side and we hold this side, and we pull. Such an easy way to create a strip of material. We then take our rag ball, a ball of rags, and we place our two strips together, and we literally just knot them together so it doesn't come apart. Now you could sew that if you wanted to, but this is really quick and easy, and I think it looks okay. So we roll up our ball. Now, a simple rag ball. Now we're going to make our space divider that we use in our table den and also our 3-chair den. And for that, we're going to need a stick, about 3 or 4 foot long, depends on how long you want it to be. We are also going to look for maybe some shells. If you have any shells with holes in them, they would be perfect. And also some beads. It can help to have a darning needle for that. Pegs can be useful as well. Lots of different colours of wool and material. So just material that you're no longer using, but also old clothes that might have holes in them. This is an old t-shirt that we've started ripping up also. So we're going to cut up some strips of material to start our divider. And so we're going to put a little slit, just like we did with the rag ball, and we pull one side and the other to create our strip of material. It's quite a thick piece. So here are a couple that I did, a few more that I did. I've got a nice multicolored one. I've got a checkered one. I've got the red one we just did. And also here, I trimmed my blind that I put in the bedroom, and there's some of this left over. And we'll put them all together. And we'll get, you know, a rough idea that they're all a similar length. So we'll just, this is much too long, and this is quite long too. So now we've got 4 strips of material. So now we've got our stick, and we got our strips of material, and we're literally just going to tie them on there. This is such a simple way to create a gorgeous divide between your den and the outside world. So perhaps a double knot might be a good idea. So let's do that. Like that. Done. So I've turned the space divider down towards me, and I've cut 3 lengths of multicolored wool. So a pink, a blue and an orange, or whatever colours you like. And I'm going to put it over the top of the stick, and I'm going to bring all the ends together, and if they are not all the same length, we can give them a little trim. Okay, and then we get our darning needle. It's got a big eye in it, which is easy to thread through. If you don't have a darning needle, don't worry, just use maybe one piece of wool instead of the 6 pieces that we now have after doubling up, and just thread normally using your finger through the bead. We get a bead and we thread it on there, and we'll bring it all the way to the top. Good. And you can do whatever you want. You don't have to bring it all the way to the top if you don't want to. And I'm just going to add a knot underneath each bead so that it stays in place, otherwise it might fall down. Okay, so let's find the next one we'd like to use. I have an orange one here. And I'm going to knot. And you can put your beads as close together as you want. You can put a group of them together, or you can put them, if you have lots of beads, you could do beads all the way down right next to each other. And we keep going. Now, so this is looking gorgeous. So this is another divider. Now it takes obviously a lot longer than doing these strips, but it's worth it. So I've been doing a strip, something decorative, a strip, something decorative. So let's move on to the next decorative piece. So I've got some wool, and I've got an old t-shirt that had holes in it, so I started cutting it up and using it for craft. We're going to do some plaiting with this old jersey material, and we're going to use some wool with it as well, some brightly coloured wool. I've got red and yellow wool, but you can use whatever you want. Now I've done the same thing as I was doing before, which is I placed a slit, and then I pulled either side. And the lovely thing about t-shirt material is when you cut it, it goes all curly, almost like a shoelace, so it's gorgeous. Now, here are some bits of wool and jersey material that I cut earlier on. So I'm going to knot these 3 together. That's what I'm going to plait with. It's great. Then I got my pencil holder, and I'm going to peg that on. But we're going to start plaiting, and you know how you plait? You go from the left over the middle, and then from the right over the middle. So the left goes over the middle, which is the red one. The right, which is the pink, goes over the middle, which is the blue one. And that's what we're going to continue to do. The right over the middle red, the pink on the left over the middle blue. And it's actually creating a really nice design. It's not like a usual plait. It's extremely pretty. So you could, experiment with this, and you could see maybe 2 thick bits together, or just experiment with different colours, maybe a few pieces of wool together as one piece. And I'm going to keep going with this. So this is finished. Just tied a knot in the bottom, and what we can do is cut the t-shirt off, and then I think we'll put a bead. We'll thread that through, and we'll finish it off with a bead. And we'll tie a knot so it doesn't fall off. Okay, and now we need to tie it onto our divider. Put it there. We'll just check the length. Oh, it's looking good. Like this. I think that's looking good. So Let's do a couple of more of these. Actually, the next one we're going to do, we'll add some shells with holes in it. So we're going to make another one of these with a t-shirt and wool, plaited, but we're going to add some shells this time. And we're going to start plaiting again. We'll add our first shell, and how I do it is I literally just take the shell, take one of the pieces of wool and thread it through the hole. Okay. And we keep going with our plaiting and our little shell hanging to the side. I feel like adding another one in now. And there. And we keep plaiting. We tie a knot in this. I think it's long enough. And we'll trim off the t-shirt. And we'll leave the wool. And we'll thread one more shell onto the end. There we go, it's really beautiful. So we're going to add this on to the end here. And I think that's looking really beautiful. Best of luck with making your space divider, and remember to make it your own, and don't worry if you haven't got some of the materials, just make it up as you go and enjoy the creativity. So to make our origami fairy light covers, we're going to need some fairy lights, of course. We're also going to need some brightly coloured pages from magazines or newspapers. I find if it's too glossy or thick, it's really hard to make these because the end of the process is where we use our mouth to blow in a hole, to blow and pop it out into a square shape. So these are the guys that we're going to make. And they actually slot on beautifully to our fairy lights. We also need scissors, pencil and a ruler. Okay, so we're going to cut out a 6" by 6" square. So we first of all need to measure it out. We're interested in this area of colour. And so now we've got a very clear square which we need to cut out. Oh, so we have our square, and so our first fold is going to be corner to corner. And we open that up, and then we go corner to corner. Now it's important to get nice, clear folds, and I use my nail for that. But if you didn't have a nail, you could use the side of your ruler to create that nice fold. Okay, corner to corner and corner to corner. And now we're going to fold it in half. So straight line to straight line. We open that up and we go again. Now what we want to create is a triangle. So we fold this little flap in and we fold that little flap out. We've got one side of our triangle, and then we want this to be one side, so we fold that flap in like that, and so we have our triangle. So our next step is to take this corner down here and bring it all the way up to the tip. So fold that up. So we take this corner and we fold it up to the very tip and we get a nice sharp line. We take this corner and we fold it up to the very tip. Great. And then we flip it over to the other side once that is finished. So now we've got a little square. So now the next step is we take this tip down here and we fold it to the center line. Nice strong fold. And we take this tip, which is opposite, and we fold it to the center line also to where the other tip has been folded to. And then we flip it over to the other side. Okay, we've got a lovely shape there. Now we've got a closed end and we have an open end with all these little flaps, and that's what we're interested in. Okay, so we go to the open side with the flaps and we take this little flap here. We want to take this end and we want to fold it against this folded edge here. Okay, as accurately and as neatly as we can. Okay, can you see what I've done? And then we want to fold it one more time. So we're going to take this whole little triangle and we're going to fold it up to this edge. Now, this is the interesting part. Now we're going to create a mouth with this little piece and tuck our little triangle in. It fits beautifully. So we're going to do the same here, okay? So we're going to take this tip and we're going to fold it up into the middle. So this end runs alongside this folded flap. And then we're going to take this little triangle that we've created and we're going to fold them over to this flat edge. And then we're going to go and get our mouth and tuck our little triangle in. So that's done on this side. Now we need to flip it over and do it on this side as well. We're almost done. There we go. All done. Now this is for the exciting part. We've got a closed end and we've got an end that has a tiny little hole in it. And we want to blow into that and see if we can inflate these. There we go. And look at that. Isn't that great? Okay, so there is our blowout origami fairy light cover. Let me put them on the fairy lights. I've got a few more I made and I'll show you what they look like. So these are the origami fairy lights. We've just made those little squares, blowout origami squares. And these fairy lights I use in the 3-chair den that we make in the den building videos that you'll find as well online. Now I've only covered every second light, but you can cover them all if you want to and if you've got the time. But I think it looks really fabulous. Best of luck with making them. So to make our homemade bunting, we will need scraps of material. So I've got a couple of old pillowcases here that are plain material, and that will allow us to actually paint on those. I've also got some patterned materials that I can just cut out directly and use them. We can also paint on top of those if you wish. I've got my templates, which I've cut out and measured with my scissors, my ruler and my pencil. On mount board. A mount board is what you put around a picture before you put it in a frame. If you don't have any mount board, a cardboard from cardboard box is absolutely perfect. We'll also need some paintbrushes and some paint. I'm going to use some poster paint because I think everybody has that. Now if you need your bunting to be outside and you think it's going to get wet in the rain, please use something more permanent like an acrylic. We'll also need some wool or rags or a piece of string that we're going to tie our bunting to, and we're going to affix it with either double-sided sticky tape. Now if you have a glue gun, you can use that too, but I find stapler is really effective way of attaching it. So let's get started. So I've got two templates here. I've got a large one which is about 6 inches across and about 10 inches on each side. And I've got a smaller one which is about 6 inches on each side. Now you can decide how big or small you want your template, but let's go make one. We'll make some with cardboard this time because I think everybody has a bit of cardboard at home. So we'll use this straight edge here and this straight edge here to help us, and we'll mark 6 inches across. So we'll mark 6 inches down, and then what I want to do is I want to, half of 6 is 3, so I want to move at this very bottom point into 3 inches, and there he is. So from that very point at the bottom of the 3 inches, we're going to go all the way to that corner, and we're going to do the same to this mark here that we've made. So what I do usually is I take about 1/2 inch and I mark 3 marks across the top of the flag. Now this is where we're going to fold it over and staple it or use double-sided sticky tape or whatever to affix it to the string or the wool that we use. And I'll mark that line. And also what we're going to do is we're going to just really roughly, we're going to bring in the line here. It's just when we fold it over then we don't have a little flap. So we'll bring that there. That can be very roughly done, and this needs to be a little bit neater. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut that out. So that's our template. So I've chosen this lovely gingham colour, and I'm going to get my template and I'm going to, we might just use that edge that's already there. I'm going to line that up, and I'm going to use my pencil to mark it out. So let's cut that out. We're left with our little flag. This is an old, I can't remember if it's an old sheet or an old pillowcase. Again, I'll use my template. That's our plain white flag. What we can do with that is get our paintbrushes and do a bit of painting. And really you can create whatever you want. It's just really about getting a splash of colour on there. Something that people will see. And using whatever colours you like yourself. You can do whatever designs we like. Now, there's our flag. Okay. I've cut myself 3 pieces of different coloured wool. I like the contrasting colour, and I'll just tie them together at the end so that they don't unravel. And this is what we're going to put our bunting onto. Okay, very simple. And so here's some bunting that I've made before, and let's put our flag, our new flag, on there. So where's the end of our wool? It's just here, and we want to put this flag on here. So it's important, the cut off edges just up here, the cut off corners, that's where we fold our flap. So we get our string and we flap this over. And I find the easiest way to attach it, we can use, double-sided sticky tape or a glue gun, but I find the easiest way is to use a stapler. pretty happy with that. So our bunting is complete. And we can hang that up in our 3-chair den and also off our teepee. Check out my other video, Den Building, to find ways of making indoor and outdoor den spaces.